Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fiona Wall, and you are welcome to yet another episode of the FAT Talks, Faithful, Available, and Teachable Talks, brought to you courtesy of the Fidelis Leadership Institute and Smart 24 TV. Today is an exciting day because, as you all know, the Fidelis Leadership Institute is all about creating a critical mass of ethical leaders around Africa. And we're doing this through a lot of things, but one of them is a thought leadership platform on Twitter Spaces. We're live on Twitter Spaces. We are live on Smart 24 TV, which airs in all the countries in Africa where DSTV is. And I want to welcome today a very special person, an ethical leader who has led in the limelight, I should say. But she's also known for her humility and, interestingly, for being a bit of an introvert. Not a little, but quite an introvert. She has sailed through a large should I say not political, but media career. She has worked in almost every big media house in Uganda. She has been very key in being a harbinger of change in the media houses where she worked. And I think she was the first regional head for CNBC in Rwanda and Uganda. She's been a manager for the UBC, in UBC TV. She has been a TV presenter and anchor with WBS. She's had quite the journey. I do not want to introduce her in so many ways, but we know that she is the principal private secretary to the president, to His Excellency, the president. And yeah, she's a senior secretary to the president. And in her role, she has been able to not only do this, but also to write a book. And the book is The CEO in You. His Excellency, the President, I remember, introduced her as an innovative young lady. And he stated that she was very passionate about business and leadership. And she actually, I told you she's a harbinger of change. A harbinger is that insect when there's a swarm of locusts and they want to go somewhere to eat, they send an adventurous person, an adventurous locust that goes and tests the land and discovers and then comes back and says, yes, there's food there. So she's a harbinger. And as a harbinger, she was very instrumental in starting the Presidential CEO Forum, which is a private sector engagement platform for CEOs in the private sector to engage with His Excellency, the President, in making sure that they drive private sector-led initiatives for development. So with us, we have the author, leader, CEO, the CEO in You, author Irene Birungi Mugisha, whose mantra is to blossom where you're planted. Irene, you're very, very welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. That's quite a very humbling introduction. In the last few minutes, I was like, Is that who she is or something else? But thank you so much. It's a pleasure for me to be on this platform. Yeah, it's a pleasure for me because I feel so warm. I'm in the background where I feel so comfortable. And that, for me to be in the studio of Smart 24, I'm really, really honored. And thank you so much for the opportunity, as well as to also know that the Fidelis Leadership Institute, of what you're doing in terms of bringing leaders together and speaking to that empty space where we need to encourage each other. That's very, very inspiring as well. So thank you. And again, humbled by the introduction, but it's Irene Birungi Mugisha here.
Yes. So Irene, you're an award-winning television journalist. You have been a broadcaster, you've been a columnist. So words have been your stock in trade, so to speak. Did you always love words? How was Irene growing up? I know in the book you'll get a huge excerpt of who Irene was growing up. She has a beautiful family. I really enjoyed reading this book, Irene. I felt like I was getting to know shades of you, differently. Yes. So, Irene and Words, when did the love story begin?
Well, Irene and Words. I believe it's really started way back when I was still actually probably in kindergarten.
Yes.
And again, being an introvert, I found self-belief and self-satisfaction in reading the small books that we always had as reading books at the kindergarten. And later on back home, my mom being a teacher by profession, she always had some very beautiful reading books. So that to me became my inspiration, I believe. Later on, I found out that yes, that's true. That's what became my inspiration. But I loved reading from way back when I was still a young, at kindergarten, then primary later on. And then, of course, during my understanding age, I found myself in the career that I didn't even think I would actually be venturing into.
Yeah.
So this love for reading, the love for writing, it's really from the time I was able to write my name, be able to write the vowels of R, A, E, O, U. The time I was able to write the one sentence of this is a book or this is a cat. So I think that's the time I started to love reading. Yeah.
So did you love reading anything, current affairs? What used to draw you? Did you have any particular genre if you read books?
I loved reading very simple, nice, interesting life storytelling books. And again, current affairs, no. I believe that came later on in my career. But all the books, the literature books, I would think of, I didn't do literature until senior 2. That's when I did senior 1 and senior 2. But all my reading books that I can recall had everything to do with a life story or a story into the animal kingdom. So those were kind of my storybooks. Yeah.
Wow. A change maker. Would you say you like change, you adapt easily, or you bring change? Of those three.
A change maker.
Do you like change?
Like change, adapt easily, or
make change?
Make change. I think I like change and also make change.
Okay.
You cannot make change if you don't like change. So, and it starts with where I'm at here right now. If I don't like this spot on this table, so I should be able to remove it. And that starts with what you believe in and what you think about yourself, and then the entire environment around you. So about me liking change and believing in making change, it has been manifested all my life journey. Being the firstborn at home, you're given the assignment, even by default, that you're supposed to actually take care of either your siblings or you're supposed to do some taking care of home chores and everything. So that started then that for everything I had to do had to be either perfect, because someone had to come back home to say, I don't like this, or you have to redo it. And I really didn't like anything to do with the redo. So that was not in my system. So I did everything to
You don't resist that.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So
wow. I guess that's why you're working for His Excellency the President right now. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that do not know, this book, The CEO in You, written by Irene, has a foreword by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And it's very, very important that I read this forward. So just allow me. He states that according to the scriptures, it's recorded that after God had finished creating the heavens and the earth, he appointed a CEO to superintend over all creatures living and non-living. The CEO role fell unto human beings. And God said, let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, the cattle, and over all the earth, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. God gave a clear job description to the earth CEO. However, it is up to mankind to either fulfill or abscond from his primary responsibility. What are the results of absconding from the sacred mandate? The failure to live up to this commandment subjects man to the whims and vagaries of nature. This is His Excellency stating this. I want to just rush a bit to where he talks about this book. Therefore, the book, The CEO in You, a Changemaker, is important because it awakens the reader to their original and fundamental assignment on earth. Societies that have mastered the concept of a man as a change maker have attained greater degrees of technological advancement and development. Since 1986, the NRM government has worked towards ensuring that the people of Uganda take full charge of their political, economic, and social destiny. He states that this book is a welcome addition to the ongoing efforts to empower the African people to become better CEOs of their surroundings. The good CEO makes correct diagnosis of the problems of society and offers accurate prescriptions to cure them. The valuable wisdom, knowledge, and experiences shared by the author of this book will help improve decision-making and instill confidence in the homegrown initiatives and solutions to contemporary problems. Signed, YK. His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda. This is huge, Irene. And I do not know anybody who the President has written a forward to yet. There are probably many, but you're the first, so you're my first. And hearing his language here, he is always telling us about correct diagnosis. Yes. Sometimes he says, you lawyers, I remember when we went to visit him, you lawyers, before you even subscribe a diagnosis, you need to first understand the problem, What is the problem? Diagnose it, and after that, get the proper solution. So he looks at this book as a solution, one of those homegrown solutions. So Irene, the lover of words, Irene, the change maker, and I've seen this book, and you need to get a copy of this book. It's 100,000 shillings. There's different versions of it that you can get, and we'll keep communicating where you can get this book. But one thing I love about the book is how easy it is to read. But I was also extremely impressed by the number of CEOs that were writing forwards and talking about this book, but also the impact that you've had on them as a leader. And I really loved your should I say tribute to your father? I found that very touching. So Irene, growing up, what were those influences that brought out these leadership qualities in you? What are some of the, because today we're talking about being a faithful, available, and teachable leader, being a leader that not only initiates change, but also leads people through it, and also is down to earth. At the launch, I saw people describe you as humble, which is true. A perfectionist, which is also true. You have just testified to that. But I also want to boast that Irene was one of the first people who ever interviewed me in the media. I'm honored to have that. And when you are going for an interview with Irene, it was something else, that level of preparation, So where did you get these influences from?
You just talk about tribute to my father. We all have footprints, and the footprints are where we're born. I'm born in Toro, so meaning we have a culture. The most known culture is Batoro have pet names. So I have a pet name, which is a tail. But key to that, when we greet, we kneel down.
Yeah.
So that us was very instrumental and very important.
The culture norms.
The culture norms.
Yeah.
Because as you grow, those are things that actually build you to be a very articulate person, to be a very appreciative person, because then you know how to respect, you know how to be obedient, you know what not to do and what not to be able to do, or what you should be in position to do and not. So who you are, which is one of my first chapters,
identity,
is really your identity matters. Is what is that personality in you that allows you to be very excited and be proud. I'm proud to be Mtoro. I'm proud when I go down on my knees to greet any other elder person, regardless of being my father or not. But that alone also puts in a space of being a person of great relevance.
Yes.
Because you appreciate the environment. And so much as I was brought up and grown in Kampala, the time we traveled to the village, we were able to blend in so well, because then the village has its own expectations, has its own dynamics. You know, everyone expects you to either to be a spoiled kid, but here you are, your foundation as who you are.
Yes. You're greeting the elders, you're kneeling.
Then my father was such a perfectionist as well. Much as he was such a very tough parent, you would not cross this living room after 6. That would be just living room for the elders.
Wow.
So you would be either in your comfort zone somewhere near the kitchen to have dinner and sleep. But he also was in position to bring out things that I observed and learned later as I grew up. Lessons. So environment that you brought in allows you to pick certain things.
Yes.
Yeah. The environment I was brought up, we stayed with large relatives, a number of us at home. So, but would understand that for my dad to have an office within the home environment, when does he go to that office? How does he keep the office functional? Who gets to the office? What are they doing there? When is the time for even having A or B with friends? And he really had all this time.
Yeah.
So he'd walk in his office and it's so neat. There's a book here, there's a pen. He's doing everything in terms of accounting.
Yes.
Very good at accounting, though I had to do it later on. But I think I picked some of these principles from him.
So early exposure, even to your father's work environment.
Is very important. But the moms do also play a very key role.
Yes.
Because it's the mom who will ask you to do what assignment at home, either to do the sweeping or to do the normal chores. While we're brought up, having a maid was so luxury. So we had, but they would always be around for a specific time.
Yes.
I remember during holidays, we would be told to clean a white carpet. And it would be me and my brothers. And you're like, when are we going to finish this? But not even a dot would be accepted to be found there.
The supervisor would come.
That environment is very important. So who we are really starts from home, surroundings. As they say, charity begins at home.
Yes.
As a mother, I see that in my children, that for whatever you do, they actually observe and you don't need to force them to do it. They will pick it themselves.
Wow. Identity, environment. There's something big that you talk about in a huge way, confidence. How important is confidence in the development of a leader, even in the execution of your leadership duties, even in being a leader? How important is confidence? I follow you, and I know that you're always writing about how confidence is the most beautiful. What is that you say?
The most beautiful dress a
woman should put on. Yes. Tell me about confidence. Did it just come naturally to you? Did you fake it till you make it? You made it. That young person that's listening right now and they're suffering with confidence. When you suffer with issues of maybe self-esteem, or when you put in a place where, to be honest, you are not ready, maybe success happens to you when you're not yet ready. How do you get to that point where confidence is an outfit that you actually wear?
I wouldn't say there's a particular stage or moment for confidence. But we all get confidence at different times and levels. Why I speak of also confidence in the first chapters of this book is being an introvert. I had a lot of fear in myself. So I'm the firstborn at home. Everything is expected to be done by you. You have boys who follow you. You have the whole ecosystem is expecting a lot from you. And then you need to be seen out of this crowd. Yeah. And then on top of that, you're a young lady. I'll give you my maybe earlier experiences where you're going to school and it's a different school and you have no clue what you're supposed to say or what they expect you to be able to say. But you need to find that level or that moment where you can speak out.
Yes.
And so I remember very well at school, I did not like sitting behind the back bench. I preferred either in the middle or at the front. Regardless of the fear, if the teacher just mentioned my name out, my heart would skip and say, what am I going to say? So, but I'll try out any answer. And
so you'd attempt,
yes.
always.
So it's very important to attempt.
Yes.
And be able to be seen that you are within the space
Sure.
with everyone else. But also later on, I noticed that the more you fear, then the more you're left behind.
Yes.
Yeah. And that personality in me, I got to know that I see in you, this was recent. But the personality in you will always be craving for something different.
Yes.
Something good. Boys around me, what are they doing? If they're playing football, can I go and be the goalkeeper? And I did that so many times, you know. If they climb the tree,
You
I
are
also tried,
goalkeeper?
yes,
Wow.
to climb the tree and pick either a guava or something. So it's important for the person we are speaking to right now, who feels like I cannot make it in this space. In the space of leadership, it's very competitive. It's a space where we have male, you know,
it can be dominated. Yes.
But believe me, I find the male as the best friends you can ever have to pull you upwards.
Yeah.
The women, we've been so much at disadvantages to ourselves. But over time, my life experience has showed me that confidence, regardless of fear, is very important. So you need to speak to the inner you and say, I can do it.
Yes.
You know, the moment you express that I can do
yourself.
it, speak to yourself. Yeah. No one else is going to speak to you, because when you walk out, you say, maybe my shoe is not right.
You actually said in the book to encourage yourself.
Yeah. My shoe maybe is not right, or I have a torn skirt, or, you know, I won't be able to say the right English, you know, but just try, attempt. And so the moment you speak to yourself, that's how you'll be able to build the confidence. And confidence is really nurtured.
Yes.
And it grows over time. Yeah. It's step by step, and then you capture the space.
Wow. I like this. It speaks a lot of intentionality, being intentional, and it's a concept that you use in your book. And one of the things that it is told to us about confidence, David in Psalms says, I encouraged myself in the Lord. I'm sure many times David in the Bible was that person that was always confronted by different situations. I mean, one moment he's asked to play music for a demon-possessed soul, you know, who has been hurting everybody in his wake. Then the next, he's supposed to, I think before that, he was fighting Goliath. Before that, he was faced with a lion. Before that, so sometimes I'm amazed at the courage and confidence this boy exuded. But as you've said, it has to be nurtured in small intentional steps. Blossom where you're planted. Tell me about that. I really love that mantra. It's very key because it speaks to stewardship. Because many of us sometimes in our for as long as we've not yet, especially entrepreneurs on their journey, when you're in your formative years, in your 20s, you're excited, yes, but then you join this job and then it's dull and boring. You might forget that this is where you've been planted, that you have a duty to blossom. How important is it? Okay, what do you mean by blossom where you're planted? And according to you, how do you transform from someone who's just doing the daily rugged bits of work to someone who's actually being intentionally, who's growing intentionally? Yeah.
So blossom wherever you're planted. Maybe I may put it that for the benefit of the listeners and the viewers. To me, this, I think, I believe in my 20s, that I started speaking to that as my mantra. Being a business journalist, then, you know, you look at all these companies and they're posting who they are, their brand, what they stand for, their mantra. And so I stumbled over a book, and I wish I could remember this book, but I can't. And that word was there, blossom where you planted. So I picked it as my mantra, and has never been the same since then. So what I speak to here is, as Irene, as a wife, the man God has chosen for me, or I have decided to say yes to, that's it, regardless of the flaws and the ups and downs. So I need to make it better, and make it fulfilling and very satisfactory for myself. Now that is with family. The same with children. The children, regardless of who they are, they could be just girls or boys, those are the children God has blessed you with. So you need to be able to nurture those children, love them, be passionate about them, because those are the gifts that God has given you. Now, when it comes to workplaces, every job I have been at, I've always looked at what is the gap. And the gap should be, if I'm here at Smart 24, and probably Francis, I'm still Francis, right? I hope I mentioned his name right. Francis, the producer who has taken care of us today. And, he's walked in, he's been able to clip the microphones very well, the lapel microphones very well on us, and told us how to sit in. The next day he's not in. I should be able to do that support.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way you're going to pick a skill. We speak of skills. Skills are not trained, actually. Skills are learned from the environment you are at. So blossoming where you are or wherever you are, blossom for me, for who I am, wherever I am, is always being able to observe what people are doing, being in position to study them. There's what they tell you, go and understudy someone when a supervisor wants you to take on a certain role. So you don't need to wait for that. Just study someone and be 3 steps ahead of them. And that will allow you to actually see something different that will make you happy, or that you bring on board as a proposal and will be adopted. So service above self is one of the chapters I speak to that comes to connect it to blossom where you planted, because there's no way you're going to do something with love and you don't pick out something you'd want to develop or to make change with.
That's a hard paper, Irene. You preach a really tough sermon. But for those of you that know Irene, you know that she's actually made it in this way. And anyone else can make it.
I come from a really humble family.
Yes. Tell us about that.
Everyone.
Yes.
The humble family means that everyone is a Ugandan regardless, and everyone definitely is born from a family. And that's, I don't think when my mom gave birth to me, just was told on that very day that she's going to be the handler of the president of Uganda. So it is what we do around people that will definitely become your purposed life.
Yes.
Yeah. And that definitely speaks to blossom where you planted.
At the Fidelis Leadership Institute, we say when you are available, then you become relevant. Because sometimes when they look around, it's the person that's available, the person that has taken that time to learn that extra skill, that is going to be given that space. Now, tell me about embracing change. And this fascinates me about you, because much as when someone meets you, they think, this is a very well brought up Mtoro girl, but you have worked outside Uganda. You have had a long distance relationship. You've looked after your family. You've had to move out of your comfort zone for work. Even the COVID situation. What would you say to somebody that is facing such opportunities and maybe is struggling with decisions in that area?
Well,
I'm talking about having to work either outside your home area or your country, or work in a very new environment. Yes, that kind of change.
My career one, as a journalist, I think I spent most of the time out because I was required to have stories. I traveled more often within Uganda and outside Uganda. And at the epic of my career, I then was into a new relationship, which is my new home, and children are coming along the way. I remember vividly leaving my little girls twice or even more than twice as they're breastfeeding, and I had to be away to travel. And then you come back and the bust is as heavy as not anyone else would want to. But so those are sacrifices most times you have to take. One, because you need to grow, to
advance. Yes.
You cannot grow by staying in one place, and neither will you grow by not being exposed.
They
so the
say
exposure is very important.
That a prophet is not appreciated in their own home. So sometimes when you move, you add value, right?
You add value, and then you get to learn so many things that probably will come back and also be able to share with the people that you're working with. So it's never easy. That I can tell you, it's never easy.
Yeah.
How I was able to navigate through is being able to speak about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. For every trip I had to make, I needed to speak with either my husband or the people who are going to give me the support team.
So the support system.
Yes, support system. I would be able to engage mom and say, Mom, I'm not going to be around here for so many days. There's a little kid who needs to be breastfed, but I'm not here.
And so you have to be accountable also.
Also, remember there are moments. Actually, I would be able to leave 7 days in that way.
Order.
Yeah.
Wow. So I hope the moms are listening to this.
You have to be part of that sacrifice.
Yes.
Part of the situation for you to be able to come out of it. But you need to speak, and you need to find support system around you, and need to share even your challenges so that you can get the best solutions out of it.
Wow.
Yeah. So the jobs, you also spoke of my current job, same thing.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Same thing. I remember towards the elections where we're expected to be almost at every corner of this country, you still know that your children are either back home for holiday and they're only around for probably 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and they need your time as a mother.
And you also have to travel.
And you have to travel. So I have moments where I would actually either go, when I would go earlier, I would invite them to come the next day. So I'd find a hotel where it would be closer with my station, and the evening I would retire to family. For everything we do, family is the best thing to fall back. But you have to be also very intentional to bring them to your space so that they can understand you.
Yes.
It took them a while to understand why she away. My son, senior fall holiday, I think I missed it. And I remember coming back and he told me, but Mom, I'm only here for 2 weeks and you're not here. Yeah. So it had to take me a lot of explanation to tell him, look here, I don't do this because I'm selfish, but I do this because, one, I'm a mother who needs to also contribute to the bread that is brought in, back home. And then secondly, to plan for your future. So that discussion with children or with the support team or with a spouse is very, very important. Yeah. What kills us most times is we think we can do it all, and then
that is true.
You stop everyone from even understanding who you are.
You don't let people in.
People need to come into you to understand you, and they'll be free with what you're doing. The most question I always interface with is, but then as a wife, how do you do it? Believe me, I play my role as a wife. Yeah. When you go back home, Mr. Mugisha needs to find that you can be in position to prepare that cup of tea. It does not matter what your day was like.
What you
need to embrace that, leave it somewhere, and then when you're at home, you be that spouse that he or she appreciates you to be. Yeah. So it's really very intentional.
I love what you say. Yeah. I have this quote. I kept it for when you mentioned Mr. Mugisha. She says, the CEO in you is more refined as a Mrs. sometimes. Being titled Mrs. Mugisha is an automatic indicator of my KPIs as the CEO of the home. I love that.
Very true.
But you also say when leading others or serving others, you need to practice humility, which is self-effacement. You have to be vulnerable, I think. And I think one big thing I read from you is how accountable you had to be in order to, because we always say, get a support system. but you need a support system that believes in what you're doing, and also believes that whatever you're doing is also for them. And that requires you being vulnerable, accountable. And I like your scripture, this chapter. I love it. Service above self. Matthew 23:11, when you talk about the greatest among you will be the least, the servant. So servant leadership is something that we really espouse at FLI, and I loved listening to your employers speaking about you at the launch. You have sat at the feet of greatness, but there's an African proverb that says, "The child that washes his hands will sit at the table of elders." However, one of the problems we have found is that, yes, when you sit at the table of elders, how do you prepare for that table of elders? You will, if you wash your hands, you will get there. But when you are at the table of elders, Irene, what keeps you there? When you are dealing with greatness on a daily and the rigors, and yet you have to be all these other things. What is your value system? What are those things? I know you've been probably hinting at it, but what are those things that are no-go areas for you? Your value system.
My value system is I'm very loyal.
Yes.
And to me, that
Loyalty.
Number one.
Yeah.
Very, very loyal. But if I know these are your principles, it will take me 3 steps to ensure I work towards those principles. The other bit is, you've said, if you're at the table of the elders always look forward to be served. Always look forward to be obeyed.
Yes.
Always look forward to be respected. Always look forward to have the humility, the least humility in someone's personality. So to me, the one thing I've learned is when you're loyal to yourself, then you have to be loyal to every other person around you. And the elders exude a lot of knowledge. That for you to tap into that knowledge, they need to be comfortable to share with you that knowledge.
That's powerful. For
the elders.
Yes.
To be able to be comfortable to share that knowledge, and for you to tap into that knowledge,
they need to be comfortable with you. Yeah. And it's your respect, service, and obedience.
Service and obedience.
That's a tough sermon, Irene. For the youth of today, Gen Z, who want their opinion heard sometimes before they even listen to yours. I think that's a tough sermon. But coming from somebody who's serving in the highest office, I think that is very, very good advice. I hope you're listening out there. I want to just take a minute to recognize our listeners. We have Uganda Christian Lawyers Fraternity. They're listening in. It's exciting to see them. We have another leader who has spoken here before, Brenda Akia, the CEDAW representative of the African Union. We have so many people here. We have people from we have someone from Rwanda. I see someone from Rwanda. I see Dr. JB. We have medical doctors online. I see Achaye Gabriel. That's a lawyer. I see very many listeners. Thank you so much for listening in. Irene, we usually play a small game on this show. We ask our guests to tell us 2 things that are not true and 1 thing that is true. So you're going to tell us 3 things. Yeah. You just choose the 3. And of these 3 things, 2 should be lies and 1 should be true. So it's really a test to the audience to see how well they know Irene or how well they can guess who Irene is. So just think about 3 statements, and 2 of them all will be false or true, and the other one will be either false or true as well. Yeah.
Right now?
Okay, you can stay. Yeah.
Two things that are true. Yeah, right? About me.
No, I don't want you to tell us
I don't
the
want
things
to-
that are
okay.
true. I want you to tell us three
Three
statements.
statements.
They will choose what is true and what is false. Yes. If you want a minute, we
Yeah,
can
a minute.
think through it.
Trying to
Yes.
think about.
So, members, thank you so much for being online. Even those on TV, you're listening to us live from Smart 24 TV, the Fidelis Leadership Institute, having a faithful, available, teachable talk with the author of The CEO in You, a book that's written by Irene Birungi Mugisha, a change maker. Yes. And she says she blossoms where she's planted. And today the challenge I hear from Irene is in your growth, in your growth journey to leadership or as a leader, it's very important to be humble. She's told us about the importance of sitting at the feet of elders. But once you're there, you also need to make the elders feel safe enough to pass on the knowledge. And this takes obedience, respect, and humility. But I think she emphasizes loyalty and servant leadership. So, Irene, coming back to the book, what inspired you to write this book? You're quite young, if I may say so myself. So, what inspired you to write this book, or who inspired you? And if people don't remember anything else, do you think it's a good idea for people to write books? Because a lot of people ask themselves, "What have I done for me to write a book?" Yes.
And I want to just read that somewhere.
Yeah.
Because we all have a story. If you
Yes.
don't mind.
Yes.
As I start my first chapter, it's about build confidence, who you really are, and excitement.
Yes.
There is no human being without a story. I'm learning that anyone with a story, and we all have one, has greatness inside them, even though our greatness is displayed on the outside.
Yes.
It is almost always the function of what is working inside us. So, why I wrote this book? I've always wanted to write a book, actually. One, because being a journalist, being a reporter, I always journaled something. And so I have a number of journals. Most times when I have my free time, I'm writing something. If I'm writing to God, I have so many love letters to God.
Nice.
So
Did you write some tomorrow?
quite a number. Probably that would be the next book if I want to.
Nice.
Yeah, but yeah, I love writing. And so my first book I thought would be about image, because while I was a journalist, I thought bringing out image in a positive way would be very nice for people to understand why.
Yeah.
And so that didn't happen. But now, at the point of COVID, the time of uncertainty, we are all closed away from family. Myself, I was away from family for some good months. And when I say away from family, I really mean away from family, where you're not told to go travel, have fun, but it's forced. You're away from family and you don't know what next. I had the first weeks were very sleepless, and I would wake up very late or very early in the morning, and I'm wondering, why am I here?
Lose your sense of
Yes,
time.
I'm like, but is it important for me to be here?
Yes.
So for me to pour that out and find my seamless of being vulnerable and being able to do something different each day, I decided to type away. And so that's how I started.
You make it sound so easy. I started to type away.
Truthfully speaking, I just decided to type away. But that very morning, I remember I went through my tab and I saw quite a number of so many journals I had written. And so among them, I said, why don't I write about myself? So that's how I started.
Well, so you found you already had a voice.
Yes.
You already had a voice. I think it's very important for people to find their voice and then find their messaging. I think that being a journalist was something you tapped into. And I'm sure to whoever is listening out there, it's probably going to come from who you are as a person, what you believe, what you're experiencing. But also, I think you have to make time for the good things, right? At some point, this book became more than typing away. I mean, the lockdown ended. What kept you inspired to write this book? Because it's a work of 3 years, right?
Yes,
That's a lot.
It's a journey of 3 years, which I'm very proud that I'm part of the author club right now. But along the way, then I was able then to find the essence of who is the Irene I'm speaking about.
Yes.
Secondly, is the story worth telling? Thirdly, what am I teaching? I'm a mentor. I mentor so many beautiful young men and women out there. Those that I personally reach out to, and those that actually have come to me several times. So I found that there's a teaching that if I cannot reach every person, then if I wrote down those small journey pointers, which I would call nuggets of sorts, nuggets, then people would be able to appreciate them. But then also along the way, I say there's this whole perception of so many leaders. We actually look at the leaders and we think they're either there by default or they are lucky or there is this whole, wrong perception, I may put it.
Yes.
But there is a journey to every leader that we come to meet or we come to be part of their journey. So to me, I thought really it was very inspirational for me, first of all, that I wrote this book.
It is.
And I believe and really pray that it inspires so many of us. I continuously go through the pages and I'm like, wow. Towards the launch, I've had a hitch of saying, should I stop? Am I ready to release my story out there?
Well, no, it's out there.
Yeah.
It's out there and selling like hotcakes. I remember one of the things that blessed me about the launch was that people were buying these books for schools. And I think His Excellency bought about 1,000 books. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're out there and you want to buy a book or buy two, sometimes the best thing you can do for a young person is buy them a book like this. But I want to tell you, this book is a book that should be read by CEOs, by board chairs and directors, but also if you are in a growth journey career-wise. She has all these nuggets of wisdom. Having sat at the table of many, many elders, she talks about, what are those trade-offs, that are going to happen? What are those things that you might have to sacrifice? And how do you sort of push yourself into making this sacrifice? When you talk about purpose, she breaks it down. And I really like how you break down purpose, because purpose is quite an elusive concept sometimes when we are dealing with our own personal growth. So Irene, have you thought about our statements yet?
Our statements? Wow.
Yes.
Irene loves adventure. Irene is
loves adventure.
Yes. And she's a sports fanatic. So
sports fanatic.
The third one,
yes,
which might be so obvious, Irene is a Christian. So
we're dismissing that one instead of yes. It has to be,
okay, adventure. She's a sports person.
Yes.
And Irene loves cake.
Loves cake. Yeah. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's up to you to choose what is true and what is false. Irene, does she love adventure? Does Irene love sports? Is she a sports fanatic? And does she love cake? We're eliminating things like, does she love Morris and Jesus? Because those are very, very obvious. Yeah, so just another question. Having a celebrity home, so to speak, your spouse is a celebrity, you're a celebrity, you've been in the journalistic area, the camera has been on you. How do you balance? And I'm talking about balancing because you're a very grounded person, obviously, who from what you've said values family a lot. Then you also are very passionate about your work life, your work life and making it. At some point, you talk about trade-offs. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with the issue of trade-offs as a couple? And how do you also how can I say this? Because I'm sure there are trade-offs as a mom, as a wife, as a daughter, even with the extended family. How would you tell that young person or old person for that matter, who looks like they're dropping some balls? How do you, because I think that is quite the conundrum, especially for busy working women.
You've explained it. The era today is about the woman has to be part of the working class.
Yes.
It's not anymore the beauty of the mom stay home. Even the mom stay homes have something to do.
Even they are busy, quite
busy.
Yes.
So the balancing and boarding, and this I'll take back 2015 when I was doing the postgraduate, where we were asked, the first class actually, the tutor asked us that just the next day, all I want is give us 10 hours, to give her 10 hours within the 24 hours of the day that you can have in a week. So 24 for the 7 days, but to just get 10 hours, those 10 hours. And we actually all looked at her and we said, she's crazy. There is no way I can get 10 hours.
Yeah.
But it was an assignment, so went home, and it was amazing that we actually came back with the 10 hours. And to me, the 10 hours were totally to see how best can you make time for yourself.
Yeah.
When you talk about balancing, you don't have to leave yourself out. The whole balancing act starts with the individual. You have to be mentally stable, you have to be healthy enough to be able to balance all the other challenges or all the other attractions around you.
Yes.
So it starts with you, that I have my me time to say that today I really want to just speak to myself. I want to sing. I want to be at home.
Yes.
And I remember at that point, I decided to have the Wednesday as my day off. So
your day off.
My day off.
Yes.
Of course, you cannot be get yourself a day off on a Wednesday if you're not a manager. So you have to be a manager to delegate work. Fortunately, I was in a position to delegate work. So you also have to appreciate that you can delegate work. And that's how you train people to be able to cushion everything else that you are supposed to do. So I got a Wednesday as my day off, and I always use the Wednesday just to sleep, to listen to music, to watch movies that I loved, and probably to make my place or my home look lovely. And at the end of it all, I have mentioned this in just a few minutes, but get to know what you're supposed to do for the people around you. The children that are going off school and they have to come back, how are you taking them in the morning? Who is picking them? So that's something you share with whoever is around you as your support team.
Yeah.
So I knew I wouldn't be in position to pick my girls. I had to make sure I have that pitch with my husband, and he always picks the children from school. And so, but I'm home in time to ensure they have dinner, they have done their homework, and I'm a bit relaxed as well, that I'm not stressed to go through the traffic and pick the children. Now, when it comes to also the balancing act is with your spouse, this is something everyone can argue, but to me, I played it my way, and I think it worked. That the trade-off I did at the time of saying no to the CNBC very juicy job, I stayed in all the 5-star hotels that I would want to have stayed in, but there was no meaningful life.
Yes.
At the end of it all,
was costing too much.
I retired in a 5-star hotel, but I didn't have love. Food is brought to you, laundry is done for you, but then you're on phone trying to find out, has the kid come back home? Are they doing their homework? Who is helping them? And my spouse was he's very supportive, that will tell me everything is okay. But the stress I had each single day was not giving me the passionate to continue with the job. So I remember just waking up and saying no and coming back home. And it was the best trade-off I've done for myself. And I'm not saying everyone should do that kind of trade-off, but there are things that you can truly find that they're not giving you happiness, that you should not stick to it. if I did not trade off for my young age children that time, I
Yes.
would have lost them that time. They needed me more
Then.
my presence then to know that mom says no to this, mom says yes to this, than what it is now, because now they're of age, they're teenagers. But everything they've learned was that time.
Yes.
Yeah, so the balancing act, again, it's an individual responsibility. My balancing act won't be the same with yours. It won't be the same.
But I
with
like what you
everyone
say.
else
It's very
who's
important
watching
for
out
you
there.
to
Yeah.
balance yourself
It's
before
very
you balance
important.
everything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Wow, very precious nuggets. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking for the poll so far. Does Irene love adventure? Does she love sports? Or is she unable to
do I
resist
love
a
cake?
piece of cake?
Yeah.
Yes. So just some comments here as we invite people to ask questions. Brenda Akia says, thank you, Irene Mugisha, for sharing your wisdom with us. Indeed, the aim is to blossom where one is planted. And then Brenda says that, yes, adventure and cake are true. So I don't know. We'll see. Kate Testy Roller says, I'm not a CEO, but I really appreciate ladies who are CEOs and the CEO in me in future. Yes. I think what Irene is saying is you're already a CEO and she wants to read your book. So tell us, where can we get this book, Irene?
The book is available at Aristo, all their outlets. It's also available at the Uganda bookshop.
Okay.
Under the book point.
Yes.
It will be available on Amazon, I think by end of this week, both for hard copy or the ebook.
Have you heard that, ladies and gentlemen? It will be available on Amazon by the end of the week. But for those that are able to go to Aristo Booklets or any of their outlets, the book points, you'll be able to get yourself a copy of the CEO in You, Blossom Where You're Planted. This is the point at which we entertain some questions, ladies and gentlemen. So if you have a question, just click on your mic and request to speak. And our admin will let you in and let you ask your question. So Irene, what is the one thing that if somebody didn't read your book, but they experienced you, what's the one thing they should never forget?
I was just going to say the lady who said she's not a CEO. Just want to tell everyone there that you're a CEO.
Yes.
By the fact that you breathe every morning, by the fact that you wake up and you have a mind of semblance of saying, I want to eat food, you already CEO because you're already defining what you want to eat. You already define what you want to put on. You already define what the next things you want to do in terms of today I'm going to office and I may not follow my JD, the job description, but I'll be able to do ABCD. So I want for everyone to know that you are a CEO. CEO is not the chief executive officer who is appointed in these glossy, beautiful offices of ours. My managers at home, the ones we call housemaid, I call them managers.
Yes.
They are CEOs.
Yes.
So they are CEOs because they plan for your meal. They ensure that your house is clean. They ensure that, your life, the environment around you is actually comfortable. Meaning that purpose of you being a CEO, the one in you to make a difference for someone is already automatic in everyone. Yeah, so I really want to encourage, look at your purpose and define it yourself. Don't wait for the job or the situation define that purpose for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to be the CEO of yourself before you can be effective in anyone else's life.
We have so many beautiful sounds in our system, either when you wake up or when you're going to sleep, and most of them could be fear or could be uncertainty. But through those sounds of uncertainty and the fear and the challenges is where you get to know what actually you can do best, And I believe so that when COVID happened, so many people did find themselves. But don't wait for that situation to be, thrown at the uncertainty.
Yeah.
Find yourself
purpose
everywhere you are. Yeah.
Wow, Irene, when I look at the lessons, I've been writing down as you wrote, as you spoke, and you, you've lived a very intentional life. And I want to thank you, first of all, for accepting to come here. And now I want to take you into leadership. You've talked about the CEO in you. You've talked about all these things you've been talking about were really leadership. But ethics, tell me, what's your view on ethics?
Ethics. Well, where I mentioned loyalty, ethics I think is equivalent to loyalty.
Yes.
As a journalist, one of the other things I say to my life, and even growing up, or even as a sister, or as a daughter, or as an employee, an employer, my reputation. I'm very, very profound of my reputation. Even when I pray to God, I say, God, protect my reputation. So the moment you're so particular of your reputation, that will bring out the ethics of you. Because then the reputation is going to be able to be tagged to what you're doing right and not what you're doing or what you're doing wrong. So my reputation has been on the on the level or the flow of doing things right.
Yes.
That if I know Fiona Wall doesn't want me to go to her home, then there's no need for me to go to her home. If I know I am supposed to do a job that entails me to be in that space at a particular time, then I should be there at that particular time. And I should not, probably what as leaders we should know is not use your influence to manipulate a situation.
Not abuse your influence.
Because we believe as a leader, then you have so many handlers around you, right? You have the receptionist, you have the admin, you have, name it. And what I mean about abuse is either misinterpret situations of the people you're working with and trying to overshadow them.
Take advantage.
And take advantage of them. So to me, my ethics.
So integrity starts from there.
It starts from there. The moment you're so conscious about your reputation, the integrity bit will come to play.
And I think I like what you said, the least of our brothers. You know, Jesus said, whatsoever you do to the least of my brothers, that's the litmus test. It's not what your bosses say about you really that's going to determine what your reputation is. It's what that sweeper in the office or that person, that young person, because of how you relate with them. The reason I ask this is because we live in a country and a world where people think that it's the wicked who prosper, you know, and yet at the same time we are trying to grow children and young people, and we're trying to tell them you need to be ethical.
Yeah.
So sometimes I have been told by young people that ethical is equivalent to poverty, you know? So that's why I'm tickling you, Irene. I really want you to talk to these young people. Will they die of poverty?
Yeah.
When they're ethical?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ethical, I know when you talk about ethical, definitely you speak to issues of integrity, yeah. And issues of integrity is being values and not being able to be greedy. And you know what greedy means? Greedy means you can really get to be compromised of your own values. Now, the ones viewing us and those listening in, to me, really, integrity is in every little bit of your work that you're doing. If I have, for instance, let me give a reference to my farm. I run a PR farm as a director. It's celebrating 15 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yes, that's all-round consult.
Yes, all-round consult. So if I'm an employer, and for instance, I have an accountant who decides that for us to be able maybe to beat URA, we need to forge around the books of accounts. I have been very intentional that we need to audit our books. And so for every year, there are audited books. And it doesn't matter how much money you're going to let go. It is all about what credibility are you going to have at the end of it
And it's
all?
that credibility that
And
brings
it's
you
that
business.
credibility that brings business. When you're going in for bids, the bids will attract the audited books, So there is need for us as leaders to actually look at these ethical values. Very, very important. When you read the book, you'll see that I think I was only interviewed for 2 jobs. Most of the jobs have been referral. And someone we're looking for so and so, but we've been told it's Irene who can do this. At the high office where I'm at, it started off by a referral. They were looking for a communication specialist, and they were told the only person who could do that was Irene. And I started it for just as a one-off, and then later on I was recommended for the office. So integrity.
A good name will get you far.
It will definitely get you far. It may not take you as fast as you want, because the young generation you're telling me to talk to now want things now. I have it. He's not a youth anymore. He's not a teenager anymore. He's a youth. My son made 26 today.
Wow, congratulations. And those on Twitter Spaces, I need you to look at Irene's picture on the book. That's actually Irene. And she's saying she has a 26-year-old. Wow.
26-year-old.
May I look like you when my child is 26?
Oh, yeah, but I'm not as young as you, may.
No. We're calling you young. We're keeping this. Yes.
So he's 26 and every now and then when he was in his first job, he kept saying, Mom, I think I should do this so that I can get this, the quick fix. And I'll tell him no. It would drain him. You talk over it over and over and again, and I'll tell him, Trevor, no.
Do the hard work.
Do the hard way. And then definitely now he gets to understand, but it becomes very hard for that generation, the next generation we're speaking to understand that integrity is very important. And of course, with the stories around, they'll say, but so and so was able to achieve that
in a short time.
Yes.
Why am I so
patient? But there's a lot of satisfaction. A lot of satisfaction to know that I was able to buy my own first car over my own savings. So that means the time you buy the first car by your own savings, then everything else will be fantastic. Everyone would say, oh, but you're beautiful, someone can be able to bring you XYZ. I never allowed anything from any external person, not even from any person who admired me. So I believed doing things my way and achieving them the right way. It doesn't matter how long it took, but at the end
I liked what you say. It will take you far.
Yeah.
It might not take you as fast, but you will go far.
You'll go far.
Yeah, and we've seen that sometimes taking the shortcuts can take you back, can take you backwards, can make you receipt papers in life.
The chairman of the PCF right now, Madam Barbara Murana, today we had a meeting. I normally have meetings with him just for a briefing. And I remember when I came to her and said, you're nominated as the chairperson. Her words were, you worked with my late father, and I remember him talking about your integrity. It's the only reason I appreciate. So really, you may not know what you're doing.
So a good name will really take you far. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard this. A good name. I think that is why His Excellency was able to put his name on your work. I remember him saying he hadn't yet read the whole book, but he was going to read it and co-author.
Oh yeah, and
the edition of you. Yeah. Irene, I wrote that down. And I think that that says a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't say it any better than Irene has said it. A good name will take you very, very far. You took her all the way to State House. This is a point at which I ask if there's any questions. Does anyone have a question for Irene? Just click on the microphone and we'll give you the authority to speak. But please click on our poll. There's a poll on the Twitter space. Does Irene love adventure? Is she a sports fanatic? Does she love cake? That's on the Fidelis Leadership Institute page. Just go there and click on what you think is true. I think she loves adventure, and I think she loves cake. So far, nobody thinks you love cake. Can you believe that? Although I do, that the poll is not yet reflecting me. But 50%, oh, it's 50-50. So everybody thinks you do not eat cake. I think because you look very fit, they don't think you take things with sugar. We are going to find out in just a few minutes. Irene, how this journey of yours, I'm sure when you're growing up and with somebody who is into goals as you, where do you see Irene maybe in 5 to 10 years?
Well, I speak of mindfully realize your purpose. I believe I'm still navigating through that.
Yeah.
I love giving back to the community. And to me, my space is actually out to the community to speak for the voiceless. I've been doing that through the platforms I'm blessed to be working in as a journalist, as a career woman. So it's where I see myself really is giving back to the community. My home village is in Ruti, where we have a home as a family, myself and my husband. And I try to speak to the ladies around that place. In Ruti, I've created an association.
Oh, wow.
The Nyakayojo Women Association.
Yeah.
Just to ensure that as and when I have time, I can be able to listen to what are their challenges, but more so to encourage them. And so ably being positioned to use the purpose life to add value to these women who are into agriculture, who are into the different activities that they are doing to earn a living.
Yes.
We know that today two women are really of great incense, and we need to also uplift our fellow ladies. The other bit, which I've shared with you before, is create us a group of the ladies who are there now in this space, the 10 of us, and then we go out to the different schools and different platforms and aspire or inspire people with the young generation.
Yeah.
That is another thing I would love to do. So I really am seeing myself to be more impactful. Let me be in position to create an impact.
Yes.
To so many people.
Yes.
I believe in leaving footprint behind. So it shouldn't just be where I am at, but also out there. And this is really feeding into the biggest vision I've been having for the last 15 years when I was, I've spoken this with my close family, especially my husband, is to have an international studio where I can invite everyone to speak.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to hosting facts.
Wow,
just like
I'm seeing this vision,
is hosting us. Yeah. So I'm into training, I'm into building capacity, I'm into inspiring. So that is the space.
And you see yourself just doing more and more of that.
And on a bigger platform.
Well, and from your lips to God's ears.
Amen.
We want to give that to you and to say thank you for giving of your life. Thank you for giving of yourself. This book, ladies and gentlemen, is something you need to read. It takes you through Irene's story. She was quite an adventurous, opinionated young lady. She has interesting nuggets. There are things here that people need to
life story through a glass. You know, everything in a glass is.
I mean, it took His Excellency traveling to Thailand to meet you. You need to read this story. Yeah, that is many, many, many years ago. It took, you've been, how you and Maurice met, that's really exciting. How you met your first boss, Mr. Wabamuno, in an interesting place. I think I love all these stories, and interwoven in there are all these golden nuggets about leadership, about family, about navigating this growth thing into leadership, about being a CEO, about having a strategic plan for your life, and about ensuring that you're intentional in every aspect of your life. This is a wealth of knowledge. Thank you, Irene. As the Fidelis Institute, we have already purchased copies, and we shall be sharing them. We are not going to plagiarize. We need you to buy your own copies. But we shall be sharing them with certain schools because we also have a youth outreach. And we want to be able to share this rich message that you've given. But one of the things that I also want to say as we close is, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard what Irene is talking about. And we always say that at the Institute that Africa has everything it takes to succeed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We have young, hungry people, hungry to succeed, hungry to work. We have actually the youngest population in the world. We have a people that believe, the enormous faith that we have. If you see the amount of money that people spend in churches, just tithing alone. When you look at the entrepreneurial spirit of Africans, there's always, mobile money. Even in tech, we are still leading in innovations on this continent. They might not be as successful, we might not be as advanced as the West and other places, but there's so much there. Then we have the minerals, we have the natural resources, the wealth. And yet at the same time, we are still regarded as backward, we're still regarded as a developing country or underdeveloped. And this is, for me, because our leadership lacks, that little thing. We even have great leaders, but we need to tweak the ethics. We need to ensure that we have leaders who are faithful to their mandate, who are very aware of their purpose, the way you've been saying, who are very intentional in their living. I liked that part of stewardship where you talk about you need to be very, very aware that you are blossoming where you're planted. That is so meaningful. That it makes sure that you don't waste a moment of your career. We need leaders who are available. I like how available you are to the women in Ruti. You are a fantastic daughter-in-law. Yeah. Those women are really lucky to have
beautiful,
you.
Powerful ones.
Yes.
Available.
And you're being available. You're being available not only to His Excellency, where you serve, not only to your family, but also you go out of your way to other women who might never see the place where you work, who might never even step in Kampala. You have gone there and given of your service. And we need more leaders like that. If every woman were to go to where they got married and empower the women there, I think it would be transformational. Thank you for that. I've been inspired. Thank you. But I also think that we need leaders who are teachable. Your whole story, you've been learning, and you've taught us confidence is something you learn. Public speaking is something you learn. All these things are not skills that you're born with or gifted with. These are things that if you're intentional enough, you will learn. When I watch Barack Obama, I see this gentleman. He's one of his, what was his name? Maxwell. No. One of his mentors is not Martin Luther King, but the other one. I forget. Yes. And when you listen to, gosh, I need to remember. Somebody on Twitter, please put it there. Apart from Martin Luther King, the other Muslim fundamentalist, I think in the US, he was a human rights activist. Yes. Now, when you listen to his speeches and you listen to Barack Obama's speeches, it's almost the same person. You can see. So when you look at Irene's life, you see the footsteps of her mother, you see the footsteps of her father, you see the footsteps of maybe His Excellency and all the other leaders that have been in her life. So who is speaking in your life is the question today. At whose feet are you sitting? And these wise people that you're sitting at the table with, are they comfortable? Are you honoring them so that they pour themselves into you? Or are you just passing through their life like a rolling stone that gathers no moss? Yeah. And I always tell people that it's very, very dangerous for you to experience a human being, even for a few minutes, and not be impacted. That's wasted space right there. So let's be people of impact. I love your dream to be a person of impact. But Irene has also impressed on me the importance of words. I love words, yes. I do value words. But I think she has impressed on me today, and I hope on you as well, the importance of speaking to yourself, speaking in yourself, affirm yourself. Whenever you want to ask whether you're balancing your life work, ask, are you balancing yourself?
Yeah.
Are you okay inside there? Because without you being okay, it's a very bad foundation for whatever else you're going to do. So it's been the Fidelis Leadership Institute. It's been Smart 24 TV. And it's been Irene Birungi Mugisha talking about The CEO in You, a book that's available on Amazon starting next week. And that's also available at Aristoc Booklex. And I'm also letting you know that very, very soon you will be able to get these copies. Where else?
Amazon.
The book link. The book link. And various bookshops in and around Kampala. But Irene, we have a readership and a listenership that spans across. We have the guys from the United States. We have people from Canada. We usually have listeners from all over, and those can get this book on Amazon. So thank you so much. And it's both in hard copy and soft copy. It's a beautiful book, and Irene is very generous. There's two beautiful what are they called? Bookmarks that come with some of these books. So it's a very beautiful book, very beautifully written. It's an easy read. I was able to read it in about 3 days. 3 busy days. So I really want to thank you. You made my Easter.
Inspired.
Yes.
It's an easy read.
It's an easy read. It's an easy read. I can testify because they're books that are very interesting but are very hard to read. And I also like that the authenticity that comes out of this is the messages from your family, from the people that have led you, the people that have worked with you. I think for me that speaks to who you are. Then it's very easy to listen to you because these people have, ushered us into who Irene is. And it's amazing. Thank you, Irene, for your repertoire of knowledge, for what you brought to the table. This is the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what our poll says. Our poll says 62% believe you love adventure. 38% believe you're a sports fanatic. 0% states that you love cake. So Irene, do you have a sweet tooth? The great reveal.
No, actually, they're very right.
They're very right. These people know you. Wow.
And I love adventure.
So you love sports. What sports do you play?
I do swimming.
Oh.
And as well as a bit of football.
Oh, wow. Football. Interesting. So the goalie thing was true. And then adventure?
Adventure, I love going places.
Yes. This we know. If you followed Irene's blog, I think you need to start a blog. You don't have one. But I've been following your Instagram and it shows that, yes, you do love adventure. Let me see if there are any other
talks. And adventure doesn't mean that you have to really invest a lot.
Yes.
You can do adventure.
Isaac Bakashawa has a question. This is Bakash Foundation. Okay. They are our partners. Can you let him ask, please? Isaac, have you been given permission? Oh, he asked, is he still online? Okay. Isaac had a question, but I think he hasn't been able to speak. But Irene is still part of our pages going forward. Just reach out and follow her. Let me see her. I want to see her handle. Yes, Irene Birungi. If you don't follow Irene Birungi, you're not in Uganda because I think she has the most followers. So please follow Irene Birungi, ask her questions. Online I see Boaz Shani. Boaz Shani, for me, Irene was one of those people whose feet I sat at.
Yes.
He taught me everything social media and as early as 2009, I'm one of the oldest people in Uganda on Twitter because of Boaz Shani. Hi, Boaz. Kudos to you. Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, it's been such a pleasure having you around, listening to Irene speak about The CEO in You, the book that she's recently authored, and with a foreword by none other than His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. I have to talk about it. It's very unique. We also need to remember that Irene is married to a serious CEO of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, Maurice Mugisha. And I think they make such a great pair when it comes to a testimony on marriage, leadership, servanthood, but even serving the government of Uganda. You people have really served us. Thank you very much. And one of the things that I've also noticed is that one of our listeners is Kampala Smart School. I don't know who these are, but we're very happy that they're here because it's a book. Yes. It's a book that's really teaching skills, and I'm hoping that it will be the next literature book to be taken up.
It's really a book to inspire everyone.
Yes.
I didn't write this book for money at all. Not at all. I just thought it's the right time to share the basic principles.
Yes.
And for me, my take homes for everyone should be able to have relevance for history.
Yes.
History is who you are, where you come from. Be able to define standard, the standard of yourself again, and everything else that you want to be, but also to be convicted and have courage in doing things.
So personally, I have seen Irene develop into this leader. She's always been a formidable journalist, and I first met her when she interviewed me many, many years ago. And now it's such a blessing to sit here and watch you blossom into this person that you are. It's such a blessing to hear your wisdom, to hear all the places that you've been. But also, it's also really, really a wonderful testimony to sit and see even your employers speak about the impact that you're having on them. So thank you so much for giving of yourself. Please keep keeping on.
Hello.
I think finally, hi, Isaac.
Yes.
Please ask your question.
Yes, I think I was still muted. Thank you so much, Fidelis. Thank you for hosting Irene, one of the great change makers, and allowing us to learn for free. I mean, just have to buy that and listen. So my question goes to Irene is one, how can organized youth or young people who are willing to learn from industry experts like you and the other change makers that Fidelis has been hosting for quite some time now, starting January. How could we tap into the spaces or into the leadership forums that you are running currently, like PCF, to learn? Because the problem that we have as young people at this moment is there's a mismatch of what we are learning from school and then what we are finding in the career field. So I think we need a platform or to be given space into these leadership spaces like Fidelis, and I'm glad now you're sharing knowledge through your book. But we need more interactions like this where young people can learn and get the knowledge, and because we are not equipped, we may have the skills, but we don't know the work ethics, the basic skills, the interpersonal skills. So we are agreeing about that, and many young people don't know about that. So how could we tap into those spaces at the moment, the spaces where we can really learn from elders, from leaders, from many people? Because as you've been talking about in the discussion, how you've learned from people who have been there before you, the elders, leaders, including the head of the state. So I think young people should be given that opportunity also to engage in these spaces, because there are young people who are serious, who are willing to learn from you and many others like you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Isaac. Those are very awesome thought processes. One thing really I may say is you're very right. There's need to give the youth that platform, so that they can be able to actually pick the right narrative or have the mindset change towards what they think is right or what they think they're doing. And through the networks that I'm dealing with directly, for instance, the Presidential CEO Forum, it's one of the things we are going to be very intentional with is create the room for youth, especially on apprenticeship. We tend to see how we can profile these corporate companies or CEOs who are present and who are willing to take on and uplift the young generation under apprenticeship or under mentorship. And I believe that will be one of the way we can speak to their interest of growing and being better and adding value to the country. A week ago, I met the youth, not youth, of course, doctors, young doctors who have been doing internship, and they're done. They're 1,970. And so a group of 6 came to meet me at the office and said, we're here. Now we're done with this internship. What next? And that's a huge outcry for everyone, And so, of course, I spoke to them and said, well, government may not be in position to give you jobs, but we need to talk and see where is your skill, where is your interest. And one thing I posed to them, I said, wherever you've been, for instance, if you've been doing internship in Moroto, one of them was from Moroto. I said, what was the gap there? In that hospital, what was the gap? And so the gentleman said, yes, they don't know how to engage the sick people and information sharing. I said, don't you think if we took you back, that would be something that you work on? So, know? And so it is really bringing them on board and speaking to them and looking out at what exactly we can all do together. Because most times we're looking out for the white collar jobs as priority, but there are things that we can do and nurture and become relevant without actually looking for the white collar jobs. So I totally agree with you, Isaac, and I am a free person. I have an open door system. You can reach me out as and when you want to, and we can speak more of this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think I've been answered. And then how could I access the book? Because as Bakash Media Foundation, I think we would like to have some copies. I don't know how we can work with Fidelis or Fiona for our upcoming event on Saturday to have the books on board. I don't know. Because I believe our community would like to
I'll put you in touch with Irene's people to make sure that you have some books on board.
All right, that's okay then. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That was Isaac
to speak.
Yes.
We should be able to be available to what is available. So where you
that way you've been today.
Yes, a platform and a number of you and you want to get to know more what can be done. I think that is also possible.
So Bakash, you can now line her up as a speaker. Bakash Foundation is starting a career mentorship program in partnership with Fidelis.
Awesome.
And I think they'll be doing it every month. We're starting this Saturday. And I'm excited with how Isaac is thinking. We shall make sure these books are there. And this Saturday we'll have Tony Otoa, so it'll be quite exciting. And I want to thank you again. Thank you for being available. Very few people will just say, reach out to me, So thank you so much for being available. So the CEO in you, we've seen the woman herself in action. And Irene is such a polite person that even the book has a sticker already thanking you for your order. So please buy this beautiful book, invest in yourself, balance yourself, have values. Be very tough about your values, be very disciplined, and remember to create a support system that believes in you, to whom you are accountable, in order for you to discover and grow the CEO in you. It's been Fiona Wall from the Fidelis Leadership Institute with Irene Birungi Mugisha from the President's Office, but also from All Round Consults. And we also want to thank the Smart 24 TV and and the Fat Fellowship.
Fat Fellowship. I learned today about Fat Fellowship.
Yes.
Faith
Faithful, available,
and teachable.
teachable.
Those are three beautiful principles.
Yes.
And I remember you sharing with me these principles, I think way before even COVID.
Yes.
And you articulately talked about them during the launch of the pillars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what I picked from that was, again, the word availability. It's very important to be available.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for what you're also doing.
Yeah.
I appreciate Smart 24. It speaks to the space that I love most. Business reporting.
Yeah.
So well done. Well done. Yeah.
So thank you so much. Our Fat Leadership program is also starting in May. We have a leadership fellowship for 16 weeks that we do for young people out there. So it's starting in May. You'll get the communications. It will start in June, but recruitment happens in May. We've had a cohort that's been going on. They're graduating in May. We're very excited. I think we'll invite you, we never know your busy schedule. But we also want to congratulate FitSpa, our partners. FitSpa is the association of fintechs. They decided that these 2 months were about educating the women in fintech in leadership. And Fidelis has been doing that with them. And we're excited that their graduation is just next week. These eminent fintech leaders who are women are going to graduate from a program where they've been learning so many things. And they're going to be able to apply these things. And I think, Irene, you've noticed that the banking sector is increasingly being led by women. So if we take it into the fintech sector, I think that's going to be transformational. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to us. Thank you for being with us. Please remember to be faithful to your values. You better have values. Available to those that need you, that need your voice, and teachable in your reputation. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Blossom where you're planted.
And blossom where you're planted. Yes, very important.
Thank you.
Thank you, Irene.